How painful is the process of fitting an object into geometry? A socket or a light source can always be a problem, but in this video I'll show you how to proceed without hurting any polygons. If the wall now are seen as no accommodation for our 3D socket model, the polygons will be obviously cover the part of the model that goes deeper. We could certainly cut into the wall with a boolean, but usually this issue is solved by creating a geometry that allows the object to be housed. Specifically, we can quickly use an edit poly modifier and we create segments that we move closer to our objects and in the end generate the needed space with a negative extrusion. This is the commonly used method by users. This method is functional and achieves the desired result, but it has a negative side. This process is a bit slow in creating a negative space, and the issue reappears if, for example, we decide to slightly move the socket. We would need to modify the entire geometry, and the same goes if we want to add a new socket. We would have to create new segments to generate another space. This also happens when inserting a light source into a false ceiling. But now comes the fun part. I'm going to show you a method to cut this wall using the Corona Slicer material. This material was initially designed for easy section creation, but it can also be used more creatively. This way we'll go from this render to this other one without touching any polygons. By the way, if you don't know how to procedurally create these types of walls, it's because you missed my video on Corona tiling map. This happens when you are not subscribed to my channel, so subscribe. Let's get started. We completely remove the modifier and go back to the initial problem. In this scenario, we'll use the slicer material not to create a section, but to cut part of the surface, thereby creating the space needed for the socket. We'll start by creating a box that represents the space we need. Here's the area we want to carve out within the wall. So we open the materials, select Corona Slicer material from the material list, and assign it to the box. Now let's see the result with a real-time rendering. As we can see, the geometry has indeed been carved, but this affects any object that the box touches. I mean both the wall and the socket. At this point we go into the material and exclude the objects we don't want affected by this negative extrusion. In this case, the object we care about is plug, so we select Exclude Objects and exclude the socket. Finally, we are free to move the socket anywhere and the negative extrusion will follow the object. This method allows us to create as many objects as we want with a slicer box that follows our artificial extrusion through the material. However, if we duplicate the object, we may notice that the negative extrusion doesn't work on the second object. This happens because the material currently excludes the first object, but not the second one. So we simply go into the material and add this new socket to the excluded objects list.